Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, today's podcast is with my good friend and filmmaker Wayne Poe. And I just wanted to put in a little disclaimer because you might hear a couple of glitches. This was the same equipment I used to tape my episode with Sonia King, Animal Communicator. And I actually pulled that because the sound was so kind of freaky. So I'm going to have her on again soon. But this interview with Wayne came out much better, but I just wanted to say, please bear with me if there's one or two glitches. I know you will enjoy this podcast, though. We are rolling, ladies and gentlemen, and before we get started, we're eating Fritos, and I think you can hear Courage eating a Frito. That's the cutest sound ever. Welcome to Paranormal Karen. Excited about this podcast. This is another one of my friends. You're probably going to hear him on it a lot. First time on. And of course, I have a co-host today. Some of you remember from the Sonia episode, say hello, even though I'm the comedian, say hello to the funniest Rontowski, who's no longer Rontowski, Sue Carney. Say hi.
Hey, hey.
And the greatest thing about my sister being a co-host is she has zero interest in the paranormal. So she is the perfect co-host. But tonight, you know my guest, ladies and gentlemen, he is a great friend. I met him on the Star of India. We'll talk about that. We have so much to talk about. I don't think we're going to cover it in one podcast. And the most thing I want to focus on, he's a ghost hunting friend of mine. We want to talk about a great film, a documentary film that he has on Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free, called Hotel Camarillo. Please welcome my friend Wayne Poe. Thanks for coming on, Wayne.
Hey, Wayne.
Thanks for having me, Karen and Sue.
Do you have any animals eating Fritos on your end, or is that just here?
Not today. My mom's bird is is toward the front, and he eats fiery Cheetos.
Oh. And what does he say after that?
Nothing. He just squawks. He doesn't really talk.
And your mom is hysterical. And so now I don't even know where to start. Let's start. We met on the Star of India, didn't we, in San Diego?
Yes.
And it was a big ghost hunt. And that was the first time I saw someone have a walk-on. Do you remember that?
Yeah, walk-in. We were sitting in a circle doing EVPs, and I don't remember if we did ITC or not. But one of our group head was hanging low, and someone asked, "Is everybody okay?" And he didn't answer, and he was sitting right next to me, and I patted him on the back, "Are you okay?" And he wouldn't move. I think he was grunting, maybe. I don't remember exactly. And then they had to take him off the ship up to the top of the ship. We were at the very bottom, and that was classified as a walk-in. It's not exactly a possession, but it's sort of like maybe if you open yourself up too much. This is the theory anyway. A spirit might try to come in and control you, or something like that. That's basically a walk-in.
See, and I was always calling it a walk-on. Maybe I got that wrong. But yeah, it's what I thought was because a regular human ghost can't really maintain, that it's the difference. It's a human ghost, and it's just trying to be in a body again. And then we kind of found out that guy had a drug problem, so his aura was compromised to begin with. So.
Yes. So it could have been a bad drug reaction, or it could have been a ghost.
Exactly. See, and that's the thing. That's why Wayne and I are good together, because Wayne is a skeptic and I believe everything.
Wayne.
Yes.
Okay. Wayne, who made well, we're going to get into the movie after. So I have a big question about I have a big compliment about your skeptic speech at the end. Somebody gave. I loved it. It wasn't Tommy, right?
No, that was, oh my God, I'm going to forget his name. Paul? But I don't remember the rest of his name.
Okay, we'll look it up.
Yeah. So since we're right here and talking about it.
But
anyway.
well, let's give it a proper intro. So, Hotel Camarillo. Tell us what the why you tell the people about Hotel Camarillo.
Okay, this is my second documentary, and during the first one, everybody was talking about former Camarillo State Hospital, how scary it is, and it's the most active location on the West Coast, and just everybody kept talking about it. So I said, well, I found one guy that's been going for the past 10 years, and why don't we just make a documentary about that place? No one seems to have done it yet, and basically what it is, it was a former asylum that is now a college. It's a Cal State Channel Islands, but some of the abandoned buildings are still there.
But really, is there a difference between an insane asylum and a college? Very little.
Not little.
Very little.
So some of the students have rooms in the old wards where the patients were staying. So I guess it's appropriate.
Yeah, and for people that are maybe new to the paranormal or something, hauntings stay in the same place. So when they knock this hospital down and put in a college, that's not a great idea, right? It's like buying a house that costs $15. There's a reason why you shouldn't buy that house. But most of the people you interviewed on this had been in its heyday.
Yes, I mean, I found one particular person that was actually a patient there for about, I believe it was 8 or 9 months in 1963. And we drove all the way to San Diego to interview him, and he's telling us all kinds of horrible stories.
Isn't that amazing? You hear these stories, you go to these places and you hear these awful stories about pulling out teeth and just these torture stories. And then they go, and it closed down in 1998. And you go, what? This is what we're still doing? And wow, that's really, was their experiences horrible, or was it what they saw there?
Yeah, he was saying he was attacked by some of the patients, and sometimes if you were too loud, they were tied down and left in a room and locked a room. And they just left you there. I think that happened. I believe that happened to him.
Wait, now I'm getting some ideas for mom and dad.
Gosh. We'll stop by the hardware store tomorrow.
Get some handcuffs.
I have to ask you.
I'm going to let Sue take over, because Sue just watched your movie and she gave you 5 stars immediately.
Okay, this guy, I think I remember. My question is, why only 6 months? Like, why on earth did he have to go there?
Back then, even earlier, husbands can put their wives in the insane asylum just for being hysterical or some silly thing like that. And the youth authority, which he was in, I guess he was even worse than what the youth authority could handle, so they threw him in Camarillo for a few months. They want to straighten him up. So you don't have to be medically, mental problem. You don't have to exactly have a mental problem. You can just be thrown in there for almost anything, drunk and disorderly and things like that. That was back in the day,
And so some people just kind of got stuck in there, or were like, this guy was released after 6 months, but were there some people that were just put in and then there they go?
Yeah,
forever?
I read some stories where people were picked up off the street for being drunk or something, and there's no one to speak for them, so they just linger there,
Oh, dear. That's I just did a fundraiser in Florida for the Innocence Project. Is the same thing. People that they get people, folks donate to the Innocence Project. They pay people that were in 30 years, 40 years, but that were found guilty that were not. And I can't imagine losing a chunk of your life just for that. Ugh. And, okay, go ahead, Sue. I know you more about the movie. You said something scared you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I have to say, I'm not a fan of this genre at all. I'm not the documentary genre, the ghost hunting or the, this kind of a show. So I was upstairs doing some, actually I was spinning some wool, just if you have to know.
She was spinning wool. That's how exciting her life was before your movie.
It still is that exciting. So I appreciate the fact that that I wasn't inundated with EVP and all the gadgetry, technical. Yes, she calls it technical. I'm the skeptic here, but I have to say, I love the history that you put in. It was great to be able to visualize what was going on. I like that guy that I think he was kind of kooky, but he was very serious business, and he had, I guess he was like a really big name.
The medium,
is that ringing a bell?
Was he a medium or was he a
I think he worked at a college or something. Does
Richard
that sound
Sennett?
right?
Yes.
Yes.
He's a long-time old school ghost hunter, and he's very animated, and he speaks like that on purpose for what he says. He talks in sound bites, he says.
Well, he was great.
He's too brilliant, but I have to tell you a story. I was hosting a Paracon at Glen Tavern, and his speech was supposed to start at 2:00, and the people hosting it called me and said, everyone's late. We're going to start at 2:30. So I go back in at 2:30. He just went in at 2 and started. He was like, he said 2. I'm going on at 2, and he had just restarted the whole thing on his own. It was funny, but that's
right. Yeah.
right?
Sometimes we were, after watching them, of course, I've watched it 100 or more times that I had to edit the things. I'm sick of it, right? But, I'll watch it with an audience. But since some of us that were in it, we try to do our best Richard Sennett impersonations just to pass the time.
Yes. I remember my friend Drake Witham gave him a long interview. We were doing something. At the end of the interview, Drake looks at him and goes, "So tell me truthfully, are you going to reopen Jurassic Park or not?"
He does look like that guy.
I think that was the only time that he laughed, and he really laughed, and it was very cool. So he was great, but also, the story, maybe you can tell, I don't want to give away too much, but the story of the fire, there was a guy and there was a fire. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That was in a book that was written by a nurse that actually worked there, and she published her diary of her time there. And supposedly in Unit 44, which was the most haunted place on the entire campus, and it's now a classrooms now. In Unit 44, somebody was locked in their room, and I guess for some reason they got mad and put a mattress up against the wall and set it on fire, and killed himself. And they said the only reason they even knew there was a fire in the room is because his bodily fluids were seeping under the door.
Oh, God. Oh, I think we lost you. Wayne, are you there? Okay. Your phone cuts out a little bit, or something cuts out just a touch, not enough to, but, so his bodily fluids.
Yeah, that was kind of gross. I do.
But how did he get fired?
I don't know. This is back in the, I think, early 60s. They were allowed to smoke there. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. No rope for you. No hanging, but go ahead. There's a match and a cigarette.
Here's a match. What could happen?
I nothing bad.
We trust you. We don't trust you with your own life decisions, but please have fire. That's the most dangerous thing that we have on the planet. Wow. Yeah. Now, also, you really interviewed everybody in this. I really loved, and it was so interesting. You know what? I have to tell you, the moment that I loved the most is when Sid and all those guys were in a room, and something happened, and they all screamed like girls.
Actually, we did have a bunch of. We had some women sitting on one side, and the men were sitting on the other side, and. We were just bored. I was filming for over an hour that entire night. I put my camera down, and then 2 minutes later, Sid saw what he said was an orderly with red hair in the hallway staring at me, and he started screaming. And then the girls started screaming, and then the rest of us guys got up, and we thought he was being attacked by a homeless person or something because we were in an abandoned building. So we go, what the hell is going on? And I looked past him, and there's nobody there. I said, Sid, what are you yelling? Why are you yelling? What's wrong? And he told us that he saw somebody. And of course, after that, we left all the women in the room by themselves and searched the building. We didn't even think about, keeping somebody there. we left them and we searched the entire building and no one was there, So it was kind of silly that, the killer could have circled around us and sliced everybody's throat if he had to.
That's how the best movies go. It was so funny too. It was, I remember like being at a sleepover when I was a little kid, and if one girl screamed, everyone screamed. And I thought that was the funniest thing I ever saw on a Peanuts cartoon is Lucy screamed and then everyone screamed. And that's exactly how it was with these adult, strong male.
Yeah. I had to really ask several times to use that recording because Sid didn't want it out there, and I don't know why. It's not the worst thing he's talked about on stage. Finally said yes.
Well, that's the funniest thing. Once we were in Ojai Cemetery, and we were so focused on this EVP, and these high school kids came up behind us and went, "Ah!" and I screamed so loud. And at first, I was embarrassed, but it's very, you're in such a tense situation. It just happens sometimes. Like, I don't know why they think we're all so brave. I mean, sometimes I put that green, sometimes I'll go down a hallway alone with just the night vision camera, and people make fun of Ghost Adventures, but you know what? You go down that hallway with just a green screen camera and see how you feel. It's very scary.
Scary part, Wayne. I made it through the whole thing and I was okay, and you didn't put too much spooky business in there. I hate to sound like that. But all of a sudden at the end, I got up and I hear, it was just the last, not even 30 seconds. And I thought, did you need to leave me with that sound?
Well,
I didn't like it.
I'm glad we went back to the genre. Now after you've seen the movie, right?
But you know what, too? This movie, we have talked about this before. This movie also, one thing about the stuff that you do, you really portray ghost hunting for what it is. Because people want to come with me all the time and they think that, people are going to be jumping out of walls and stuff. Yeah. It's a long, hard process.
Like, for instance, in Camarillo, we were there for 2-3 hours sometimes. And I'd have footage of most of it, but things that actually happened in maybe 7 minutes, something actually would happen,
Yeah.
And that is the most active location I've ever been to. And in 7 minutes, you can get a lot of good stuff. Just imagine some of the lesser places. You're there all day and you just you might get one EVP.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. And I stopped. I very rarely record anymore because I love photography. I like the ghost photography, but I also cannot listen to 20 hours.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to focus when you listen to that.
What I do now, I record in 3 to 5 minute bursts and turn it off. If they're going to say something, they better say it in 5 minutes because I'm not going to listen to 20 minutes of tape.
That's so funny. And but I really think, it's almost like with the screaming thing. I never forget once on Ghost Adventures, they were in one of those horrible asylums and they're walking down. And like I said, people don't realize how intense that is in the middle of the night in some place with no lights. And all of a sudden you hear bang, 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 bang. And they turn around and I think it was Nick. It was either Nick or Aaron had tripped over a desk that was in the middle of the hallway. And it's all quiet. And Zach just goes, we're going to have to get the first aid kit to look at this. And I was like, either they edited that or they really are the bravest people on the planet because I would have screamed my head off had I fell on the floor
I've almost
over
walked
something,
into a couple things like, where circuit breakers are, the metal door that's open, that was halfway open in the hallway. I almost walked right into that our first time there. Sid actually stabbed himself with a big jagged piece of glass by walking right into it. I've got that on. I actually have that on video, but I didn't put it in Hotel Camarillo.
Yeah, we don't need to. Sid is great, by the way. What is Sid's last name again? Sid Schultz. He does a great boot camp, a ghost hunting boot camp. But apparently, we have the best bloopers of Sid Schultz at our fingertips for some reason. But it gets so intense, and you're walking around in the dark, and it can get, and you can get so kind of focused on what you're doing that you lose sort of perspective of where you are. You're sitting in a dark room.
We also touched on that in Hotel Camarillo. Sometimes people would just start wandering off by themselves and not stay with the group, and we don't know where they are. We got to search. We search and find them again.
Yes. That's what I remember saying that people would split up, and I'd be like, well, how can that just happen? But yeah, I listened to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They just, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words now.
Because you would not veer from the group.
And yes, and I would be the one talking to the screen while I'm watching your movie saying, why? What do you mean they split up?
Once again, I have yet another Sid story. we were in Camarillo, and we looked around, and Sid had wandered off, and we didn't know where he was. Then we heard these loud bangs and him yelling. And where is he? So we looked around. We finally found him in a bathroom. For some reason, he was banging one of the doors and saying, "Come out!" or I forgot what he was saying. He was yelling at something. And I said, "Sid, are you?" We asked him, "Sid, are you okay?" And he said, "I was communicating with something," or I'm not exactly sure what he said that night. But Sid. I mean, Sid is he's a professional. He's been doing this longer than I have, and even he wanted off. So that was kind of weird. It's kind of shocking when somebody that's been in the paranormal for a while, that can happen to them too. They just wander off by themselves and not realize why they did it.
Yeah, and
I don't like that.
No, but and you know what too? Sometimes we talk. It's talking spiritually. We talk about their aura being compromised, that something kind of find its way in. That can be cold medicine. You can get up with a cold. And actually, I think Sid was doing chemo for a while, so he might have. So yeah, you really you never know, but you do get. You sit in that dark, and then sometimes you get real comfortable, and then you are walking around in the dark. But sometimes I feel like I dare myself. You know what I mean? You kind of go, I'd like to go down that long dark hall and see how that feels.
I don't feel anything, especially when I'm on an investigation. I guess I'm like a negative psychic because I don't feel nothing at all. I want to feel something, and I've walked down hallways with my hands open as it. Touch me, scratch me, hit me, whatever you want to do. I want to feel this phenomenon everybody else is talking about. I want to let it happen to me so I know it's real, and that's never happened when I'm there. I've never been scratched or pushed or anything like that.
That's funny because I have a friend, Calvin, that is just like you, and he does lectures at Paracons about scams, real paranormal scams, and he's just brilliant. But he's just like you, and I'm always like, oh, one day it's going to happen. But you are. I want to talk about what you believe because you're you are a skeptic, absolutely, but you also have heard EVPs. So what is your thinking on, and probably gotten some great EVPs. We had, I'm going to play this. I don't know if this is before or after this podcast, but I have an EVP of me and my friend Jamie, and we're having a conversation, and a third voice, an EVP comes in, but it's her voice saying something she didn't say. Ooh. So it's an exact replica of her voice saying something she didn't say. Which is interesting, but where do you fall on, when you hear an EVP and you go, that wasn't anyone in the room? What is your belief system around that?
The phenomenon exists. I don't know if ghosts are spirits of dead people or some other thing that we just haven't cataloged yet, but it is something that does happen. So I can't dismiss it because I'm a skeptic, So yeah, it could be ghosts. Sure, it could be a ghost. I don't know the answer, but I definitely have heard EVPs. I've definitely heard disembodied voices like right in my ear. The very first time I heard a disembodied voice, I was at Linda Vista Hospital, and I wasn't even on an investigation. We were just, people were clearing out after a movie preview, and something just said Wayne right in my ear. And I thought it was somebody behind. It didn't sound like a ghost or anything. It just was a normal person. And I thought someone was behind me. I turned around. There's nobody in the entire room except in front of me. And so I didn't tell anybody for like 3 days. I was trying to logic it out and figure out that can't have been a ghost. It had to be something else, but I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how it could be anything but somebody standing there that I couldn't see saying Wayne in my ear.
Yeah. We were once at the Las Vegas Paracon, and I said, "Can you say my name?" And somebody said Rontowski. That's a hard name. Most people don't get that right who are
great,
alive.
Yeah. I've had my name said several times, but some of the hardcore skeptics that I try to talk to and help consult with me, they'll say, well, Poe could be anything. Let them say I'm Brahmowitz, and then I'll be impressed. And okay.
Right. And when I'm going to tell everybody, there's a little bit of with the streaming, sometimes Wayne's voice is breaking up a little bit, but I don't want to stop this because I think this is great podcast. We'll fix it next time. But they can still understand what you're saying. It's just like there's a little drag on a couple of words. It sounds a little bit like you're having a stroke.
Yes, I'm fine.
Wayne's okay, everyone. He'll be on plenty of times, and we'll have him stroke free. So now we were talking about, you just renamed your production company because you were Seventh Planet.
Got me started into documentary and paranormal. The night before we were up all night saying silly Uranus jokes. I mean, I was literally for like an hour. We're just
you can't pass those up. They need to rename that planet. You cannot pass those up.
Uranus jokes, right? And we're trying to figure out a name for my company when I start doing paranormal documentaries. So the next morning, she texted me as, I have the name for your production company. I said, what? And she goes, Seventh Planet Productions. I said, oh, that sounds awesome. And then I waited for a minute. I said, wait, what's the seventh planet? And she wrote back, Uranus. I said, okay, we'll keep it. So, but I just thought it was a kind of a time for a change because my original name that I've had since 1995, I had a website called Mr. Poe's Morgue. It kind of fits more with horror and paranormal and stuff because no one but me and another person really gets Seventh Planet Productions. So I decided to change it back to Mr. Poe's Morgue now for hopefully the next documentary, when money providing, whenever that's going to be.
Wow! If everybody do you get money if they watch your movie on Prime for free?
Put it on Amazon Prime or anywhere else due to a lot of issues. Like one of the main ones is 4 or 5 people from Hotel Camarillo no longer speak to me. So I just wanted to bury it, go for the next documentary. Someone contacted me and said, I want to put your movies on Amazon Prime and several other places. And I said, all right, who cares? But I do get some royalties from it. I can't quit my job or anything, but it's nice.
Yeah, when things go in that digital hole, I don't even know what it is. And I have a CD out there somewhere, and sometimes I get a check from satellite, and then I gotta thing from Amazon or Audible. I was like, why is my stuff on Audible? And they just sent a check. And then the other day I was working with the guy that goes, I hosted the show and I remember your name coming up quite a bit. So once your stuff goes into that digital hole, thank God there's somebody counting nice. The money. They could, because they could just put that up and all of a sudden you'd be like, wait a minute, why is there, but that's it really. I love this one. I mean, I know a lot of people in it and I know the reputations of the people you interviewed and you really for the top people. So one of the main persons, I really enjoyed it.
Frank, I spoke with him because I wasn't around when in 2001, 2002, and a lot of people were investigating Camarillo. So he knew all the old school people and everybody to interview. So we try to include everybody that has been at Camarillo from the beginning. And then through him, I met one of my best friends right now is Stephen Franco, and he's a Chumash Indian, and he's been investigating for at least 10 years also. And some of his family and have a relationship with that valley where Camarillo is sitting. So I get a lot of insight from him when I'm talking to him about that stuff.
Wow. Yeah, he's great. And Wayne and Sue, did you have any other? You got scared at the end. You didn't
just because of the noises.
Oh, because
but I let me think. Because I did have quite a litany.
She had a whole bunch of questions, and then right before we started, we did 2 podcasts tonight, and she was like, "I want to review the movie because I have more questions for him."
Oh, I want to know what you thought about Geraldo's hair when he was that clip. What is it in Wildwood or something? There was another place that you showed.
That made Geraldo's career. That expose he did. He actually broke in. I mean, he asked for the keys of somebody that worked there. He basically walked in with no permit, no nothing, pretty much what we did when filming Hotel Camarillo, the places we weren't supposed to be. But yeah, that made his career. And I used to think Geraldo was awesome, not so much now, but.
Wow. That's exactly what you said. What about the tomb? What happened when he was supposed to do that?
We could forgive that, but when you turn down that road to Fox News, it gets a little choppy. Yeah.
Wayne, when did you start?
Early on when I was a kid, I used to love that kind of stuff, like ghosts and vampires and Bigfoot, And as I got older, of course, with the help of my dad, none of that crap exists. Quit being silly, this and that. So pretty much when I got in my 20s, I pretty much, turned my back on ghosts and anything vampires or anything like that. I go, none of that's real, so why bother thinking about it, And then I guess around, I don't remember, 2007, I think, I had a friend of mine that worked at a old VFW bar from the 1930s. And he started talking about ghosts there. And at first we're a bunch of friends. We make fun of him. He's give me a break. You're working with Casper now. And he was getting pissed because he was telling us this stuff is real, and we didn't believe it. But I was thinking about, this guy knows how we act about things like that. And he took a chance and told us, even though he knew he was going to get ridiculed about it. So why would he do that? And then so I went down there and I think I watched the ghost hunting show like once or twice. Maybe Ghost Adventures once, Ghost Hunters. And so I had a camera that actually had infrared, and I brought a recorder. I did everything like they do on TV. I didn't believe it whatsoever, but I was like, well, I might as well try it. Nothing happened, but still I recorded his story about how he's had feelings about things that happened that were going to be bad. And he'd leave the bar, and the next thing he knew, a car was on fire in a parking lot. Things like that. So I didn't have much of a belief in it until I had to rationalize it. I was thinking, well, he wouldn't say that unless something really was happening. So something's got to be happening. I don't know if it's a ghost, but something's going on. So from there I started thinking, well, maybe I'm going to be completely open-minded. That's what I thought when I started the first documentary. I'm going to be completely open-minded, not say, "Oh, you guys are idiots" or anything like that. I want to see this. I want to feel it. If it's there, I want to experience it. So that's how I went in for the first documentary, even though I didn't believe anything.
And just for the people listening, that was not a ghost coming down the stairs. We're at my sister's. He came down the stairs.
That was my son. Very much alive.
We could have ghost noises all day.
That's, that your attitude is kind of what I appreciated about the movie. It wasn't like sensationalized. I have a lot of trouble watching Ghost Adventures. I know that Nick, whatever, is like is it Nick? Yes, right?
Zach.
That's like
he's a showman.
Okay, yes. I was just going to say big in the industry because he probably knows so much that I'm so skeptical. But that's what was so great about your movie. You really tried to reach out to everybody. And I totally appreciated that. That was my big 5-star review. That was part of it. Because it was so, I felt like you gave me so much history. It was so well done, but you also let me think what I wanted to.
There's a lot of criticism actually on Amazon. People saying it's so boring. The people are boring. They're bland.
You know what though? I think those reviews are people that didn't understand it was a documentary. If you ever saw the old
show In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy, it was just the facts. And today we got, jump cuts and flashes in front of your face and people walking in slow motion and stuff like that. I purposely didn't make the documentary that way. I made it more like an actual old school 70s documentary.
And maybe I appreciate it because I'm old school and 70s, but it was just nice to see, and it wasn't boring. Maybe those people that gave you that rating should have been spinning like I was. Little more making some yarn. They just don't get it.
Maybe they should have been spinning yarn. But you know what? I really do think it was such a great representation of how it's done, and just the stories and the history and, I don't know. I just, I love it. And I called you the first night I saw it. The people also, Tommy Durant is in it, who doesn't do that much on film, who's a great demonologist and knows more than probably any of us. Richard Bennett, Sid Schultz is fantastic. I'm trying to think. You had just so many great people in it that probably are not famous to the world, but in the paranormal field, they're very big names and very knowledgeable with great reputations.
They're not sensationalizing a whole bunch of stuff. They're just a normal everyday ghost hunter, ghost paranormal investigator. You know what? I found out also, paranormal investigators prefer it over ghost hunter because it's like the Trekkie and Trekker thing. People don't like, you can't call us ghost hunter. We're paranormal investigators.
Oh, that's funny.
That takes longer to say, but okay.
That's funny because I know someone told me they don't like to be called ghosts. They're spirits or earthbound spirits or I don't know. Ghost does sound silly. And I say ghost hunting, and I always think I should change it because it does sound almost comical, like cartoonish, doesn't it?
You start saying paranormal investigator, and some people kind of tune you out. So what does that even mean? Do you do taxes? What does that mean?
You know what else is funny is I feel like investigator is a big word. Like a detective investigates. I mean, I know we're investigating, but I feel like it's almost like that's why I like ghost hunting, because investigating is like a purpose.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I guess we have a purpose, but it just sounds like we need a badge.
In the paranormal, so they can help people and help spirits see the light and all that. I stay straight out. I'm not here to help anybody. I just want to investigate the phenomena, because I can't tell somebody, okay, I'm going to investigate your house and you're going to be clean of spirits and I'm going to solve your problems. Nobody knows how to do that. No one knows what a ghost is exactly. We don't know if it's a spirit. We don't know what it is, what that phenomenon is. So I can't say we're going to call up to Jesus and bring the ghost to heaven and your problem will be solved. That's not me.
No, and people that listen to my other podcast, Karen and Kira Can Read, they know she's got a ghost problem that we've been trying to fix. She's got a little girl that keeps waking up, and she's working on it. Although consistency, I think, is the issue. But that's that's another podcast. Karen and Kira Can Read. We did our own ad here. But that is interesting. Is in fact, I work with a paranormal team, and they say we might have tips, but all we do is find the evidence. And I've not our team, but I have another guy that he never shows the people in the house the evidence, because we know the EVP that is most heard is Get Out. And when you play that for somebody in a house,
there's definitely been
something's telling them to get out. They freak out.
We're with the same group. Someone's in our group, and we hear something, or someone with somebody's name. Yeah, we're not going to play this for them. We're going to keep this one down.
Right, but
so let's say they might say somebody's name. You're keeping that to yourself. Now, how are you feeling about that? Let's say around the dinner table. Are you saying, well, I could have warned them, but I didn't really want to do that?
Windows all locked up and everything. And it's kind of like a weird mystery. I think, well, yeah, maybe I should have said something, but other than that, I think we're okay.
Now, can I ask if you go do this all day, and how it must be pretty intense or draining. I mean, I know you say a lot of it isn't, but let's say you have an intense and draining day, and then you go home. Does that energy kind of hang on? Or am I
when my first documentary, 3 a.m. Paranormal, said it was called the ghost flu, where you're when you wake up the next day and you just feel completely drained of all energy. That happens sometimes to me too, and I can't explain it, because I just feel like I can't stay awake for the day, after being in a place like that.
Yeah, and you know what else? Your senses are kind of heightened because you're listening more carefully than you've ever listened before. You're sitting in a dark room looking to see something. So it's almost like when I read tarot cards, if I have more than 2 appointments a day, I sleep like dead, because people don't understand how much concentration that takes.
And waiting for voices and stuff that.
Yeah.
And of course, when you stare down a dark hallway, you will start seeing something. It's not necessarily a ghost, but your eyes kind of play tricks on you with dark masses and things jumping around. But I don't think that's a ghost. I think it's just your eyes being very tired and, grabbing one piece of blackness from one side of the room to the other while your eyes move, It just seems like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they use that term matrixing, like when people see a mist and it's really just a mist, but their brain calculates trying to make a face, then they go, "Do you see a face in that mix?"
I've almost
it's your brain trying to make it something familiar.
They're so adamant that it's a ghost, and I asked, "Was it cold outside when you took this picture in the cemetery, and were you breathing?" That's what the mist was. And I've seen some.
Was someone smoking next to you?
That could have been something. I don't know about the mattress. I've seen a bunch of pictures of people. They'll take a picture real fast, and if they have a camera strap, sometimes the camera strap will be caught in the picture just for a second, and that's a vortex. And I said, no, it's a camera strap. I've been to a certain person's house that is adamant that blatant pictures of the camera strap on the camera he showed me is a vortex and not a camera strap. And I try to explain it to him. Then I said, you know what? Okay, it's a vortex. You caught a vortex. Several times it was the same color as the camera strap.
Yeah. Yeah, we rain on a lot of parades, especially with photos, when people think that there's a lot there that isn't. But yeah, it's because I love the ghost pictures, but I think the best ones, usually I look at them right away. And I remember one where we're at Heritage Square, and we're all sitting in the same room, and I'm taking picture after picture after picture, looking. All of a sudden, there's something in the picture, and I go, "Don't anyone move! Who was that? Who was that?" Asking the whole thing, and literally, I had gone from sitting Indian style to my feet in front of me, and it was a reflection off my shoe.
Yeah, I've done that
it
before
took a half
too.
an hour to undo the whole
with some
scene
weird
to
looking
go,
orb
that's my
flying
shoe.
around the ceiling and the walls, and eventually we found out it was the shine off of somebody's wristwatch. Yeah, so you just got to be careful when you see something that's extraordinary.
Oh,
You
somebody's
should
wristwatch
try to
was
debunk
reflecting.
it completely 10 different ways before you say, well, I guess that's a ghost.
And do it in the moment. Who was standing where? Where was the moon? Is there a light? And that's usually the best way. And but when you get something, that's even more when you get something that's solid. That's why it's even more exciting.
Activity, but it's still worth it. It's still worth going and experiencing that.
Yeah, we went up to Yuma one time, and we were working in a little theater there, and we were sitting there for hours, and then something threw a stone at us. And you never saw 5 people more happy to have a stone thrown at them. And that provided us all the energy we needed to make that drive home from Yuma, because that was very exciting. So before we wrap up, and Wayne, I'm going to absolutely have you on again, because Wayne is also. I have an official ghost hunting group. I have an unofficial ghost hunting group that I'm a part of, and then we just have a little group that's just like friends. Oh, I should say paranormal investigating. Friends, paranormal investigating, and we have a good time. It's so nice just to be casual with nice people, which all my groups are. But we really have some fun. So, Sue, you got any questions? I would say, first of all, Wayne, what's your favorite EVP that you have that you really either made you laugh or scared you or thought, whoa?
But we had this one disembodied voice. I filmed it in Hotel Camarillo, where someone says yes, like that, a woman, and we were all looking around. Where the hell did that come from? Because we were alone in that hallway, and so when the investigator rewound his tape to hear that yes, we found something also before that we didn't hear, and it's this voice that said, clear as day, hello there, just like that. And what the hell was that? We didn't hear that. So that's probably my favorite one.
Wow.
It's like someone like standing there behind your shoulder, hello there, or something like that. Something weird.
That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. That is very cool. And Sue, any other questions for Wayne?
I have a comment, and I'm afraid the parts of this recording where the audio gets garbled a little bit. I'm afraid if you put them all in a row, we're going to get a bad message.
Yeah, they might use my audio paralysis as some kind of way to communicate with us.
We'll have to play them back. All right, Wayne, thank you so much, and we will talk to you again soon, and I think I might see you March 3rd, right? Which will actually be way before this comes out, so that was ridiculous for me to say.
Thank you.
Wayne Poe and my sister Sue Carney, everyone. Thank you.
For us. And Wayne, it was great to meet you.
You too.
Well,
bye-bye.
Have a great night, Wayne.